I am a massive hypocrite. I'll happily question why people buy FIFA every year with little changes before turning around and buying the yearly WWE game. I also platinum them every year, at least since about 22 because, and I cannot stress this enough, I really didn't want to play much of 20 because it's probably the worst thing to ever happen in that year. This is probably the only year I'll talk about the Platinum experience though, not because it's significantly different than anything that came before, I just felt like it. One thing I really do like about the layout of the trophies is that you can group them into the main modes in the game. Like you've got your GM trophies over here and your universe trophies over here. It makes it a lot easier to plan out and separate your trophy hunt into different sections. Also, every year the game's trophies tend to highlight new features, so last year for example they introduced the War Games match, so there was a lot of trophies focused on that match type. Before properly getting into this game though, I would just like to say, I probably won't talk about every single trophy. I will talk about most of them, but if some are gotten along the way of getting other ones, I won't need to spend extra time on them, if you get me. So to start with, I started with the obvious best mode in the game. My faction. I'm sure everybody agrees on that point. No, for real though, I hate this mode. I'm not oblivious, I know why it's there, it rhymes with Titromantractions. This mode takes the longest for trophies out of all of them and by a long time as well, which is why I started with it. I wanted to get it out the way as soon as possible, frankly. To start with, you need to do 15 lifetime challenges. I'm mentioning this first because I got them all during the process of the other My Faction trophies, so I don't have much to say about it, but boy I remember 2K22 where you had to do all the lifetime challenges. I will at least praise them for lowering that after that game. There's also beginner challenges, which basically amount to just playing each mode within My Faction once, and daily challenges, which are just what they sound like. You get 3 random objectives to do every day, and for doing all 3 in one day, you get a trophy. These can be things like winning matches by submission, or damaging opponents' arms to red, or other things like that. Not difficult if you focus on them. There's a trophy for getting a loyalty reward, which basically just needs you to load up My Faction 5 times in 1 week. You know, I could have sworn I was playing WWE 2K25, but with all these dailies and login bonuses, it seems I'm playing Genshin Impact. Onto the actual gameplay parts of My Faction now. To give a brief rundown, you have to collect cards that you can then use in matches, and you get cards either as rewards from the various modes or from opening packs. Now, while I'm really not a fan of this, you also spend most of your time against AI and not real people, so it's not as bad as some other games. Let's keep it that way, yeah? As far as trophies go, you do have to play online a teensy bit. Specifically, you need to play 5 ranked matches, but whether you win or not does not matter. This gives you a ranking for the season, and then at the end of the season you get a reward, which is a trophy. This is also the reason for the basically in the title. I've done the matches, but there's still a bit of time before the rewards are dished out. I don't know the date it is, I just checked to see when the platinum raises from 0% because a bunch of people will likely get the platinum on the same day. You got to do 10 live events as well for a trophy. These are match stipulations set up by the game on some kind of rota. Good thing to note is that although you do need to do 10 matches, they don't need to be unique. You can just redo the same one 10 times and you will get the trophy, which is exactly what I did. You have to do a weekly tower. These are a series of 5 matches and an extra tower unlocks every week, hence the name. Trophy only needs you to do the first one. Not difficult, just make sure you hit the score requirements by doing in-match actions, some of which are different depending on the class of your chosen card. That leaves just 2 modes left, and they're the ones that take the longest. First off, beat 30 Faction Wars bosses. To start with, Faction Wars needs tickets to do. I had more than enough without trying to get them, so I don't even know where I did get them. Apologies. It's probably from various challenges and login bonuses, if I had to guess. This mode is kind of like a roguelike where you choose whether you want to get items or new wrestlers or how often you want to fight based on this chart thing. The bosses are obviously at the end of the line. 1 ticket gets you 5 rounds, assuming you don't lose at any point, so you only need 6 tickets to get the 30 required for the trophy. It does take a while no matter how you slice it. My strategy was to avoid matches wherever possible, and if I absolutely have to fight, I prioritized 1v1s and 4v4s. This is because 4v4s can't be ladder matches, which are the most chaotic and difficult by far, and 1v1s are the easiest to control with only one opponent, even if it is a ladder match. The final mode is World Tour, which is the one I have the most problems with. How this works is you pick a location and then a chapter within that location and complete the 5 matches within it. They're typically themed around something, like for one of them it's all cage matches. After finishing a chapter, it will generally unlock another chapter somewhere on the map. My problem comes in when this isn't the only requirement. Specifically, to complete the Dallas chapter, you need to get 3 male legends and 2 female legends. The only way to get these is either from a legends card pack or just buy the cards outright with either in-game money that you need to grind up to get or with real money, which don't do that. It's a really bad way of doing it, which is mad considering there is a much better way of doing it in this same mode. Needing you, yes, to have certain cards, but those cards are rewards for other chapters in the mode, which lets there be a more natural progression of difficulty. I ended up doing the Legend one last because I needed to grind money, so I'd already done the really hard chapters beforehand, and so the Legends chapters were really easy by comparison. This did bring me to the end of my faction, of course barring the login for the end of season reward at some point. It took me about 33 hours, which was half my total game time. Yeah, this mode sucks. After that massive grind, I was ready to have fun, so I decided to check out the big new mode for this year's game, that being the Island, and it's fine. How it works is you make a guy or a girl and then run around the island completing quests and looking at the sponsorships everywhere. I will say I think the aesthetic of everything is so extra, I kinda love it. I love all the little references to the wrestlers and whatnot. As far as trophies go, they are actually really simple. There's only 5, and the first is for making your character, which is the first thing you do in the mode. After that, the next one is for completing the tutorial quest, Welcome to My Island. Just keep following the objectives. It's a tutorial, you're not going to struggle. After this, you should take a look at the badges and pick one and start working on its objective. So if one needs you to do a lot of light attacks, make that your focus as you play more matches, as you need a badge for a different trophy. You also need a Hall of Fame challenge, the easiest of which is to win 10 matches, which you will get anyway, as you also need to win 15 matches for any of the badges, which once again, you will need to do. The final trophy for this mode is to win a PvP match. Around the island overworld there will be themed areas with PvP locations for you to wait in, and all you need to do is play one match, not even win. It took me a while to get into a match despite the area being flooded with people, so I think it was a game issue rather than a lack of people playing, at least when I did it. No idea how it is now. That is all you need to do trophy-wise for the island, but it is worth mentioning there are a lot more quests and stuff for you to do if you really like the mode. Keeping on the Roman theme, we'll look at the Showcase mode next. This year's focuses on the Bloodline, like the entire Bloodline, not just the modern day faction. For the most part, I thought it was pretty good. Wasn't a fan of the dream matches, I would have much preferred actual matches from the history for the relevant wrestlers, but for the most part they did this, so I guess it's fine. Can't believe they made me play a ladder match with Tamina though. Surely winning the tag titles at Mania is a bigger moment for her, but you do you I guess game. I'm not that bothered. It is just Tamina, though there is nobody meaner. For trophies, there's not really anything to say. As long as you complete at least one objective, which you will get all but one just by playing all the matches. The remaining trophy is for beating the Bloodline Wargames match with the other team from the one you used the first time. Side note, I love that in the cutscene Paul Heyman says no honorary Usos because the game can't fit Punk and Bronson in the match, but then announces that Sami Zayn is there, who is literally the honorary Uso. Like, I know why he's there, but the game doesn't explain it at all, and it's funny to imagine the people that just bought the game and don't watch, and just wondering why this pasty dude is involved with the Bloodline. Trophy-wise, this mode's really easy. You don't even need to do all the objectives, which is good, as I could not get Tonga Loa to bleed in the Wargames match. He is the best wrestler in the world though, so that does make some degree of sense. Universe mode only has 5 trophies, and they can all be done really quickly. First up, sim to King and Queen of the Ring and make sure to play the final match of each for a trophy. Then forward to WrestleMania and again play through the main event of both nights for another. The The remaining 3 are to do with promos. Set up a rivalry of the highest intensity and then edit the show to include a match with the rivalry superstars. Then use the relevant rivalry actions mentioned in the trophies and you will get those trophies. Only extra thing to note is that for the open challenge promo one, make sure you play as the person being called out so you can manually choose to accept the match. The AI will sometimes not accept and that won't give you the trophy. That is actually it for Universe Mode, quick and easy. Next up we'll look at the normal play mode trophies, most of which need you to play on Legend difficulty. First up though, do a barricade dive and complete a chain wrestling sequence. These are new features in this year's game, so naturally there's trophies for them. Remember, I was talking about that earlier, it's right here. You also need to create a character, press the randomize button, which I think is the right stick, and then win with that character for another trophy. Now the rest of these are tasks like beat Roman in a Bloodline Rules match without any allies, win a 20-man Gauntlet Turmoil match, or win 25 Underground matches in a row, all on Legend difficulty. Now if you've played Legend, you'll know that it is quite a challenge, and so if you went for these trophies normally, they are probably really hard. Thankfully, there's a trick that's fairly common knowledge among trophy hunters to make this easier. Basically, you go into the advanced settings and reduce all the positive submission sliders for the AI and boost them to max for yourself. What this does is let you put the opponent in a submission hold right away and win the match without needing to weaken them at all. Some people will probably be bothered by this as you aren't even really playing, which I do agree with. But the devs could quite easily make it so that messing with the sliders disables trophies, and they haven't for all these years. But yeah, I only used it for these trophies. I actually like playing the game when I'm normally playing. And no, it doesn't work in my faction. They don't want anything to disincentivize people from spending money in that mode, because it sucks. Up next we have My GM, a mode that I was surprised to find a lot of negativity around. I like this mode, is that just me? However, me liking it does not apply to the trophies. This mode has by far the stupidest trophies. To start with though, a positive thing is that you can play using 2 human players with 1 controller. This is useful for things like ensuring you win as Punk with Mutiny for that trophy, or manipulating money through trades for the finished booking with $0 trophy, as well as just not needing to deal with power cards being played against you. There's also a trophy for getting 5 injuries on a go-home show. These are weeks 4, 9, 14, 19, and 24. This isn't too hard to do, just try and get as many people on your roster below 40 stamina, the lower the better, and then book all of them in high intensity matches on the go home show. I think when I did it I had 8 injuries, so it's not that bad to do. Also worth mentioning that if you have multiple human controlled brands locally with 1 controller, you can do the requirements as any player and the game will give you the trophy. Next up, book a WrestleMania show with 4 players online. This one is just dumb. You don't need to play the whole season, you can just play yourself or auto book till WrestleMania, keep that save and then reload it but play online this time with 3 other people and again just auto book Mania for the trophy. I don't have friends that play this game, but it's pretty easy to find people on trophy and achievement sites that will help you do this. It's just annoying to set up more than anything. And speaking of annoying, the final 2 trophies revolve around raising jobbers to stars basically. First up, you need to get these guys, Kyle Slickman and Cash Suplex. Great names by the way. Easiest way to do this is to add them to the custom draft pool so you can get them right away. Once you get them, you have to raise their level by doing training promos and relevant power cards. Kyle Slickman you need to get all the way to 25, while Cash Suplex might not need to be that high, but it's certainly above 20. For Cash Suplex you need to release him and get at least 150k for doing so while he is injured. Injuring him is easy enough, but you get less money for releasing the less time is left on the contract. So you either want to injure him at WrestleMania and then go into a new season with him still injured and then release him, or there is a power card, I believe it's associated with one of the GMs, I forget which, that lets you release someone for their full contract's worth regardless of where you are in the season. Either way, as long as you get at least 150k for it, you'll get the trophy. Kyle Slickman is a lot simpler. You just need to have him win the WrestleMania main event as an Immortal or level 25. You can play the match yourself as him and win, and it still counts, which eliminates a random aspect. One thing that as far as I can tell is completely random is that you might not get the men's match main eventing. If this happens, all you can do is go through another season and hope that it's the men next time. Just make sure to keep Slickman happy so he doesn't leave. The final My GM trophy though is the most annoying one just because there's nothing you can do to make it quicker. You need to be playing as NXT Mutiny and win the main event of every PLE. Again, you can play this yourself to ensure that you win, so no worries on that front. The problem is that every season only has 5 PLEs and there's a total of 10 that you need. The first PLE will be either King of the Ring, Hell in a Cell, Clash at the Castle or Backlash. The second will be either Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. The third will be Bad Blood or Bash in Berlin, the fourth will always be Survivor Series, and the fifth will always be WrestleMania. This counts across save slots, so it's just a case of progressing until the one you're missing, and if it's not the right one, either starting a new save or playing through to a new season. The only outlier is Backlash, as I and everyone that I asked have never seen Backlash during the first season. The earliest we saw was season 2. It is completely random which PLEs you get, so you have to keep simming through until you get what you need. Yep, not playing the mode properly is the best way for most of these achievements, and that kinda sucks. Trophies should enhance the experience, not make you essentially play the game wrong. Finally, we have My Rise, the career mode for this game. And I'm just gonna say it, I wasn't the biggest fan of this year's. It's really short, arguably too short. There's more emphasis on replaying to see the different events, and this is further proven by the trophies. There's one that needs you to literally just beat the mode a second time, as well as numerous throughout for selecting different choices such as your personality type at the start, or who you want to ally with in the reclaim ending. I'm not going to go over all these individual choices, but I will mention that the save data trick absolutely still works. Basically, you back up a save before a choice in the cloud, then you can make that choice, get the trophy for it, reload the save data in the cloud, and make the other choice. And this works for every choice in the story. I am unsure if you get the second playthrough trophy if you do this though. You might need to actually play through it again for that one. The only other trophies to talk about for this mode are the live event ones. Live events are optional matches with no story which are just there so you can get more level ups for your character. You need to get a total of 100 stars from these. Stars are in the corner and increase from doing moves and other activities. It's been in the game for years, you've probably got some idea how it works by now. So after all that, what do I think about the game? Well, to start with, I don't think that the core gameplay has changed or will change much at all for the foreseeable future. There's nothing wrong with this necessarily, the game does its job well enough. What more interests me are the different modes, and this year is one full of ups and downs. I guess I'll go through all of them. My faction, hate it, just there to try and get money from people, wish it wasn't in the game. Showcase, continues to be a highlight. Love learning about wrestling history, even if I think some matches could have better represented the spotlighted wrestler. Universe mode, I'll be honest, haven't had strong feelings on it for years. Barely touched it, honestly. The island. Great design of the island itself, but could do with better presentation for the quests than these visual novel scenes. My GM continues to improve every year. Needs to get the rumble in there somehow, but otherwise, I really like my GM. Finally, My Rise. Not bad, but I preferred the longer stories from previous years with more variety in the events, as opposed to the super focused story we had this year. When it comes to trophies, only my faction and my GM had any that were a pain to deal with. Everything else is pretty simple. But it is worth mentioning, I think, that just getting all the trophies doesn't mean I saw everything in the game. There's still quests in the island to do, and even just playing a year of Universe is something you don't have to do. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the best way to have fun with this game isn't necessarily a trophy hunt, and that's great. It should never be the be-all and end-all, but a fun extra challenge for those that choose to do it. And I think that this game achieves that at least very well. And that's the video. Have you gone for any of these trophies, or do you just play and get what you get? Let me know all that in the comments, and while you're down there, why not subscribe? It's free, helps me out, and gives you easier access to my videos, both old and new. They're all trophy hunting related, so you might find something you like. Thank you for watching. For now though, I'm off. Hunt them tropes, and I'll see you next time.